ourselves in the foot if we continue this anti-America, hissy fit. And this is the kind of reason I'm trying to talk into our government and some of the Liberals who have just gone way off the reservation on this. And, the ball is in Prime Minister Mark Carney's court. Like, I've offered to help him. I think it'd be awesome if we went down there together. I think we'd get a lot done working together. But he's got to decide whether that's something he wants to do or not.
Today is Tuesday, February 17th. My name is Miloš Krajčnik. This is Canuck News. I have a great story for us today, guys. What I want to cover, you guessed it. It's kind of in the title itself. We're taking a trade team to Mexico finally, but let's see how that's going to turn out, because we're sending 250 businesses, guys, in 6 days with this USMCA review looming. And Trump, which is interesting, is signaling bilateral talks. So they want to negotiate with Canada separately and with Mexico separately. And the interesting thing is why is Canada all of a sudden just interested in Mexico, right? After 30 years of NAFTA, and the USMCA has been around for a while as well. There's been decades of continental integration, and we've allowed ourselves to be dependent, 75% of our exports going to the US, flowing to one single country. And now, after we have this pressure being put on us, Ottawa's trying to race to diversify. We've been seeing it all around the world. Some kind of trade talks with Europe, some kind of trade talks with China, something with India. They're trying to do things in Southeast Asia. Nothing's going their way. And the question is, it's not whether we need to trade with Mexico. Obviously, we need to trade with Mexico. It makes no sense not to trade with Mexico. We have a free trade agreement with them. The question is, why is this happening now? Why are we doing it now? Why didn't we do it 20 years ago? I think you guys are going to like this. Let's go through the article. A massive Canadian trade delegation will descend on Mexico on Sunday as Ottawa attempts to make up for lost time and strengthen economic ties between the two countries in the face of U.S. protectionism. Guys, and I have to stop right here. I have to stop right here because this first paragraph is a bit of a telltale sign in itself. This is telling you that the diversification is 30 years late. And they literally say in the article, we're making up for lost time. This is an admission. NAFTA was signed in 1994. Mexico has been a tariff-free partner for 3 decades. 3 decades, guys. And today what we have is that we have Canada exporting $600 billion to the US and roughly exporting $8.6 billion to Mexico. Meanwhile, Mexico is exporting $47 billion worth of goods to Canada. The imbalance here is insane. Even if we 4x'd our trade from 8.6 times 4, it would be around 40 billion. We would still be in a trade imbalance with Mexico. So let alone trying to curtail the dependence that we have on the U.S. market. Like it's impossible. It's impossible. And it happened because the Canadian governments, all of them since NAFTA, have allowed our economy to become structurally dependent on U.S. demand. We didn't build deep trade financing mechanisms for Mexico or for any other country. Europe as a continent, Asia, it doesn't matter. We just haven't built anything. We didn't embed Canadian suppliers into Mexican supply chains at scale, and we didn't create institutional pipelines. We coasted. We loved the American heroin. We loved that feeling that we got from trading with the US because there's just so much money, and we didn't care. We got lazy. And this is what we're getting after being lazy. This is what happens. In the US market, it's because it's easy. It's right there. It's close. It's stable. They speak English. It's profitable. The system makes sense, right? It makes so much sense that we have smaller trade barriers for trade with the US than we do interprovincially. That's how lazy we got, let alone trading with a different nation. Economic nationalism, what I've been saying throughout every video, is that it's about building leverage, guys. It's about working with nations, trying to build leverage for your own country, trying to get the best possible solution wherever you can. Diversification done after your leverage is threatened, guys, is reactive. Diversification done before your leverage is threatened is strategic, guys. And everything that Canada's been doing since the tariffs have been put on has been reactive. And this matters. Led by Dominic LeBlanc, the federal minister responsible for North American trade, the trip will include leaders of approximately 250 Canadian businesses as well as government and industry officials. In an interview, Mr. LeBlanc billed it as the largest bilateral trade mission undertaken by Canada since at least the late 1990s or early 2000s. And this is just stupid. Why is this the largest trade mission since the late 90s or the early 2000s? So much time has passed. Why have we not tried to talk to Mexico in 20 years, 25 years? It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. It's quite literally illogical. The 6-day trip is happening against the backdrop of uncertainty about the future of continental trade. The North American Free Trade Pact, known variously as CUSMA or the USMCA, is up for review, and there are concerns that U.S. President Donald Trump could walk away from the trilateral deal. Guys, I really want to take a hard stop here and have a good look at what's being said in this article, because this is probably the most dangerous line in the whole article, guys. Is the U.S. Trade Representative is openly signaling bilateral negotiations. That means that Washington is testing leverage, guys. They want to speak with Mexico alone, and then they want to speak with Canada alone, and they want to see what kind of a deal they can make with each of them. If the U.S. negotiates separately, Mexico and the U.S. align, and Canada then negotiates alone. What can these alignment differences actually create? So if Mexico has already increased their tariffs on Asian goods to address U.S. concerns, they're playing ball. Canada lowered tariffs on Chinese EVs practically to a free trade tariff because they went from 100% to 6%. 6% tariffs is nothing. Mexico is tightening integration with the U.S. Canada is trying to diversify away from it. So if Washington starts believing that Canada is drifting strategically, it has every incentive, guys, to apply whatever kind of pressure it wants, because trade diversification is not neutral geopolitically, guys. If you diversify under U.S. suspicion, you reduce their trust. And here's the blunt truth. Canada exports 75% of its goods to the U.S. Mexico does not have the economic capacity to replace that demand. It just doesn't. So diversification, it needs to be layered, guys. It can't be used as a political counterweight. This is what Ottawa keeps trying to do by flying all around the world. They're trying to create all these counterweights. Oh, we can do all of these things. It's all political posturing for domestic audiences, guys. And this delegation, sure, it can strengthen ties with Mexico. And we should strengthen ties with Mexico. I'm not saying anything negative about that. But if we do it incorrectly, it could also weaken Canada's negotiating position in the actual USMCA review. And it depends on the sequencing. It depends on how we approach this issue, guys. This week, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said he will mostly negotiate separately with Canada and Mexico rather than as a bloc, and complained that Canada has been the more difficult country to deal with. That's been widely perceived as an attempt by the Trump administration to drive a wedge between the partners. Mr. LeBlanc played down that danger, telling the Globe and Mail that his private discussions with Mr. Greer and other U.S. officials have been more encouraging, and that Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum both remain committed to really ensuring that it is a true trilateral review. He also touted a close relationship that he is developing with Marcelo Ebrard, Mexico's economy secretary. But while Mr. LeBlanc and his Mexican counterpart will discuss the USMCA state of play during this week's visit, he stressed that the trip is more about pursuing Mark Carney's agenda of diversifying Canada's trade partners and to reduce economic dependence on the U.S. So exactly. So it's not even about the USMCA. They're just trying to build leverage. They're trying to diversify desperately. You can't do that, guys. That's not the way this works. To that end, the trade mission is focused on 5 sectors in which Ottawa sees particularly strong growth potential for Canadian exports to Mexico: agriculture and food, advanced manufacturing, clean technology, information and communication technologies, and creative industries. It's an effort some Canadian business leaders and trade experts say is a long overdue. While Mexico is seen by many as an obvious destination for Canadian goods and services because of geography, transportation links, free trade, and mutual integration with the U.S., it has rarely received sustained focus. We've been an important partner for Mexico for many years, said Shauna Hemingway, a former Canadian diplomat who is now an advisor to the Business Council of Canada based in Mexico City. But this is the first time she said that Canada is seemingly developing a standalone strategy for improving ties between the countries. Canada's commercial relationship with Mexico has grown considerably since the creation of the North American Free Trade Agreement in 1994, and the country is often touted by Canadian officials as our third largest trading partner. However, trade and investment figures paint a more complex picture and point toward unrealized opportunities for Canadian businesses. This is where I want to stop. Unrealized opportunities. Are these really unrealized opportunities, or do we just have a structural reality that we're not addressing, guys? Is there an opportunity in Mexico? Absolutely, guys. Is Mexico a major manufacturing hub in North America? Absolutely, guys. Mexico is integrated into U.S. supply chains. Absolutely. Mexico also offers businesses access into the LATAM market. But here's the structural issue, guys. Mexico is primarily an export manufacturer platform for the U.S. market. Canadian companies that succeed there are often auto parts manufacturers, energy infrastructure companies, mining companies, and banks. These are already kind of like integrated into their economy. In this new push that they mentioned, SMEs, clean tech, ICT, and creative industries. Yeah, it sounds good in theory, guys. But SME, small, medium enterprise export penetration takes years, guys. You need to build relationships. You need the capital to come in. You need cultural integrations. You need that regulatory navigation to happen. And this is not something that offsets U.S. exposure within one USMCA cycle that we've been talking about, guys. Which brings us back to that core tension that's been happening here. Is if this mission is about long-term structural diversification, guys, I'm all for it. It's good. Let's do it. But if it's about sending a geopolitical message under duress, it's risky. And I think it's going to backfire, personally. But the difference is intent and the timing that goes behind it, guys. It says here, while the mission is mostly about boosting business-to-business ties, it's also a sign of improving relations between Ottawa and Mexico City, which could be crucial in the USMCA negotiations. And down here it says, I think the high-level message, said Ms. Hemingway of the Business Council, is that the best way to guarantee a continuance of CUSMA is to actually use it. So they keep admitting that they've been doing nothing this whole time, guys. And this is why this matters to Canadians, right? Because the trade policy isn't abstract, guys. It determines factory investments, supply chain locations, your job stability, your currency stability, fiscal revenues, strategic leverage. And Canada should have diversified decades ago, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Everything is reactive here. We're constantly playing on the back foot. Diversification the whole goal is to increase leverage. It's to preserve your existing trade access as well and strengthen industrial capacities, guys. But it has to be sequenced with your negotiation strategy as well. So if we're just running around, gallivanting around the world, trying to find new partners without thinking this through, because the U.S. put tariffs on 10%. They only put tariffs on 10% of our actual exports. And now we're making this big stink up. It's going to backfire because we're more dependent than they are. And if this delegation manages to strengthen continental cooperation, amazing. I will actually be surprised and I will actually applaud it. But if it signals fragmentation to Washington, it's very dangerous for us, guys. And then the economic nationalist position is simple. The one that I'm trying to pitch all the time. It's we need to build redundancy, guys. We need to build leverage. We need to build industrial depth. And we can never pretend that we can replace our primary market overnight. That's not how this works, guys. Strategy requires timing. And it requires time as well. And right now, timing is everything. This is all I have for us today, guys. I hope you guys liked today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave some comments in the comment section below. I know this is a very touchy topic for a lot of people. Stay informed, stay curious, and God bless Canada.
This is Canada. Maple syrup and La Cabot. Kick your ass all hockey season.